Welcome to the Up-Level Dairy Podcast. This is the podcast for dairy owners, managers, and their trusted advisors who are seeking their next level of performance, success, and resilience in the dairy farming business. I'm your host, Peggy Coffeen, and it's my mission to bring you the voices and share with you the stories of thought leaders that will help you to take your operation, your teams, and most importantly, yourself to the next level of business, leadership, management, and life. Could your next team leader be in your milking parlor right now? How about your next top manager or even a future business partner? Daniel Omar Guerrero has developed the skill of identifying high potential employees and empowering them to be leaders and managers at Drake Dairy in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. In fact, he's been so successful that the dairy is hitting its best numbers ever. And Omar will tell you that his phone rarely rings with an employee issue. That's something most dairy managers can only dream of. And Omar knows the value of this firsthand as he came here from Mexico more than 20 years ago, started out as a milker himself, and today is a business partner and owner with Jim and Brian Drake in this 3,000 cow dairy operation. Welcome, Omar.
How you doing? Thanks for the invitation.
Yes, so glad to have you joining us today. And in our time with you today, Omar, I've asked you to share the 3 top leadership traits that you look for in employees and what you do every day to empower people to take ownership in their work and strive for success. And so our sponsor of this episode is Up-Level Dairy Podcast, founding partner at Aseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. So Omar, you've said it yourself, Drake Dairy is hitting some of its best numbers ever with production and repro, and yet your phone rarely rings at a shift change. What makes this possible?
You got to develop a good skills in communication, listening, and be honest with them. So you got to tell the truth, whether it's good or bad. From 2016 to this time, we've been under 100 somatic self. Herdsmen too, we got one of the high reproductions I think in the country, and maternity guys, we run a phenomenal numbers there. I think we're running right now 1% DOAs. So
Wow.
it's everybody is engaging in their area what I develop, and like I said, we keep developing and make things working better all the time.
And Omar, just to recap a little bit of what you shared with us. So it sounds like 2016 was a year that marked some growth and expansion at the dairy. And with that growth and expansion came the need to have more leaders in place on your teams. You knew that you couldn't continue to do as much yourself. So that next step was to figure out how to empower people that were already within your organization to take them to their next level. And so one of the first places you started for yourself was digging into John Maxwell and his leadership teachings. And then you took those teachings from John Maxwell and implement them every single day with your team. That's become a lot of the culture at Drake Dairy, are tapping into the skill sets that you already possessed yourself, but were continually sharpening and continually honing in through your thirst and your desire to keep learning. And so you identified too then these 3 top skill sets for the people that are on your team that you could see they had the potential to really step up, and you were that person that encouraged them to do that. So you looked for those that had strong people skills, good listening skills, and good communication skills. And so tell me a little bit more, what for the other managers out there that are listening to this podcast, they may have some incredible potential on their team right now. So if they're looking for those good people skills, what are some of the ways that shows up? What are the things that you're looking for when you're looking for those people skills? Can you define that a little bit more?
Well, wanna always start when you give a trust to these guys. When you start trust them, and sometimes they start develop, themselves because you give ownership and something. I trust you here. This is yours, and one of the other skills I look is how good they trust the other ones under them. If
Mm.
they want to keep doing everything themselves, so they start developing other guys under them. And
Ah,
that's when I put in charge, I say, so now your uh, your homework is, trying to think how do you got to develop the other guy under you to bring it, maybe better than you or, just as good as you. And, I kind of watch these managers, they start to see if they can develop those things too. They start trusting their people and push it up.
yeah. And so trust looks like extending the ability for those individuals to make decisions when it comes to managing and leading the people that you start to build as a team underneath them, right? So you're giving them the responsibility of making decisions, owning those decisions, and empowering their people that they are mentoring to be a part of that, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know something else, Omar, that you've talked about as well when we've chatted in the past is how you involve and engage your leaders, your managers in decision making, and teach them to do the same with the team members that report to them. So, for example, if there's a job or a task on the dairy, you spend time actually, asking them what could make your job easier. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We have meetings every month, and with the manager have meetings every week, and with the resident employees every month, and we encourage everybody bring ideas of how we can make the things efficient. And I said, how can efficiency is make your job easy? Bringing ideas. Everybody's got to write an idea. Everybody discuss together. Same to the managers. Bringing ideas because most of the good ideas we implemented here that there is with this input for every single one. So we take in consideration every single one. Bring
Yeah.
an idea. Make it feel important. Everybody like it's
Mm.
part of the business. My focus is make feel everybody's part of the business. I know every single employee. I know what the things that like it, what the things that don't like it. But it's something that I like to do. And the other managers that kind of develop that same thing. So you need to learn how to read people. It's really important how do you read people because sometimes the way you say things, the body language of that person, it can tell you a lot if he's uncomfortably or he's really receptive of what you're saying and all those sorts of things. So it's not paying attention. You got to address it differently. It's just the thing is make it feel important to every single one. Like
Mm.
the managers, the people under these managers, and even the lady does the cleaning because
Yeah.
everything is getting involved. We hear like a big family. Everybody look for each other.
Yeah, and that's a great example that you just laid out of how you help everyone feel like they're part of the team and that they're important, that they're part of the team, part of a family, part of the culture there. But specifically, you go out of your way to make sure everyone feels important. And one of the ways you do that is by asking for that input of what can we do to make your job easier. And so you're teaching your managers to do that. They're asking the folks that report to them, they're asking them that same question. What do you think that does for the culture at Drake Dairy when people just simply know that what they think, how they feel, and their ability to do their job easily? What do you think that means to them and to the culture at Drake Dairy that you make that intentional effort?
Well, I want to put this culture there a lot of communication because the communication is the key to the success in any place. You don't got good communication. That means communication is communicate every single one in the dairy. Every single one they gotta have a knowledge what the guy's doing. Like I say, even the girl does the cleaning and she knows a lot of things going on up here because she get involved in things and like I said, when we're at our meetings, probably she don't need to be in there, but I make it participate because I say, okay, for Maria, she does all the cleaning and I see she does a good job, but you have an idea, so how we can help with the bags, with the garbage bags, or carry out, or let us know, so we can keep the environment clean and nice, so you don't have to work so hard. And so she bring a couple of points, and everybody's involved, and she's listening. So that's the thing is, even the bottom, and the guy right on the bottom is the same, treated the same, the right and top,
Yeah. And that's
everybody.
and that's how you set the tone, right? And
Yeah, the
Omar,
communication.
yeah, and you do this by leading by example, not just because you go out of your way to make everyone feel important and valued, no matter where they are, what they're doing on the dairy. You're going out of your way to do that, just as you explained. But I know one of the other things that you do too, Omar, is create a culture that brings in a level of energy and enthusiasm, again, that you lead from the top down. So what does that look like? How do your managers bring that same energy and enthusiasm based on the example you set? Like, what are the actions that they take to help communicate and replicate that culture throughout the team?
Well, one of the things, like in our culture, Hispanic culture, is really important. The good morning, good afternoon, hi, bye, or all that stuff. So everybody's got a, good morning, how you doing? The simple thing, is just greeting everybody, good morning, and good morning, team, or these guys, just coming with a positive attitude, because you start with, I mean, not everybody deals with the problems the same, but one of these guys that I pick up, be a leaders, is because I know they can handle that. Not all the people, you have problems, you deal different with your problems, but these guys, they understand how important it is to come with a positive attitude to work, and that's how they go transmit to their team, and that's going to put in a good mood to, work that many hours in here at the farm. So it's
Yeah.
really, really important, create a culture that, positive energy always.
Yeah. And when you
Always have
say
positive.
when you say that positive energy and talk about extending that into the culture, Omar, when you say good morning, it's not just a good morning. It's a high energy. We're excited to be
Yeah,
here. Good morning. Or we're excited to be here for the
and you
night
gotta
milking
feel it.
shift, right?
That's exactly right. You have to feel it, like, hey, good morning, guys. Not like, good morning, guys. You have to transmit it, that one. And that's one of the things that we work with my managers. You got to have that smile always. And, a lot of, one of these guys, he always smile. The guys ask me why he always smile. It's because he's happy. Because
Because he's happy to be here. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I say
it's
because it's coming to work with a great people like you. I say it's why I'm happy, because I come to work with a great people like you are. It's why.
yeah. Yeah, and look at that. So it's the smile, it's the energy, it's the way that you pick people that can replicate that and spread it among the team. And that's what creates culture. And so how does that transmit into results? Well, I mean, you just talked about it. You talked about the way that you guys have been able to really just own milk quality and maintain it at a great level for several years now. You guys are continually getting awards for reproduction and the
Yeah.
performance in that way. But one of the bigger things is quality of life for you as a dairy manager. You're not getting phone calls all the time either,
No,
right?
no, no. And the beginning, when I start these guys working, and they call me, and I say, okay, I say, we went through all the training, and you know what to do. I say, I, I could give you advice, but you gotta make decision.
Mm.
And now, they start taking ownership. I also oversee, I mean, but they take ownership, and they really like it when I say you make the decision. But and they sometimes they got a couple of things they want to sit and talk about, and then I say, well, like I always say, I got to advise you, and you decide from there. So you got to
Yeah.
consider this, and it's like I say, leadership is never ends learning. You got to continue learning and learning, because um, you know, uh, the people change a lot, and you got to kind of keep up today with all these people, and what the things they like it, they don't like it, why they feel that way. So it's a lot of spending time with people. This is about
Mm,
leadership. But I
yeah.
can tell you the results, it shows the results are really worth it because you know, sitting with people and talk to them and and try to understand how they feel and that they really like what they doing. But trying to create is something they gotta like and not to hate. You know, I gotta milk cows, but we trying to turn around and make it like milking cows. You know, so
Yeah.
this milking cows is one of the best things in the world. I say because you got direct contact with the cow. You get to see she's sick or you know you can identify a lot of things and you know it's how you become good and you know learning about cows all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And this goes back to how you make people feel important, right? Not just by making them feel important because of what they're doing, but you're showing them how what they do matters.
And another thing we do here too, and you know, we kind of give it training to every single one. And the parlor we pulling outside and trying to understand the cow treatment side, the maternity side, when they move in cows. So they everybody get it why they do things and what happen things. So they everybody's involved. They understand the whole function of the dairy,
Yeah.
you know, and they get interested because they say, listen, guys. Anybody wants to come and learn this, they're welcome to come. I want you to really to learn. I say in the future. Say some of you guys wanna go move somewhere or whatever. You got a knowledge that you can share, or the people know. Do you know how to work? I said that's my goal. Every single works in direct dairy. They got to know how to work with cows and not
Mm,
just milking cows in every area. And I think when you be with the people like that, they really like that. You know, like you open and say, "Well, these guys paying us to come to learn." So when
yeah.
nobody does that stuff, and you know, it's a cost. Like everybody look at it, but you know, I have a great results because everybody got a knowledge for each one, each area, and
Yeah.
that's how they started getting interested in getting developing through the leadership. You know, because they see these leaders they come and teach things and they really like it, you know, because they take the time when they teach them something. I say I want you to take your time and teach them well. In the end, we you know we put some tests and see how they learn and all that stuff. So just to know that we don't waste the time doing that way.
Yeah. So
And
you're really investing time into training and empowering people to take ownership in what they do. And a lot of it just
yeah,
comes back to spending time with people.
spending time with people, listen a lot of listening, and
Yeah.
you know just keep working with them.
Yeah. And, you know, Omar, as we talk about where you're at now in this business partnership role with Drake Dairy, you are. You're the living example of a high potential employee that worked hard, worked smart in pursuit of your dreams. And Jim Drake, who was the original owner of Drake Dairy, he identified and empowered you more than 20 years ago when you came here with your wife, Raina, as a milker when this dairy was just at about 400 cows. At that time, I've heard the story from you and Jim before. You didn't speak English. You had just come from Mexico, weren't a citizen. But what you did have was a dream and a vision. And on that day, more than 2 decades ago, you had sat down with Jim and a translator, and Jim asked you a question. He asked you, why do you want to work here at Drake Dairy? And do you remember how you responded?
Yeah, because I want to have the American dream,
Yeah.
and I got it. You know,
And you do.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't easy. I mean, it's about 25 years ago, and it's a lot of work, a lot of
It's a lot
patience.
of work. Yeah. And, you know, you worked hard, but you also worked smart and dug not only in with your hands, but in with your mind and continue to do so today. And that is an incredible story. How does it feel now to be living out that American dream?
Well, this feels great, you know. But first of all, like you know, Jim, he trusts me. You know, it was I feel like he was a connection there. I think he was able to read me like, yo, this guy's got potential. But I mean, you know, he was Jim is exceptional people. It's real rare type of people like him. It's just I see him like my dad. He's very nice man. Me and him, we've been working together for this many years, and his son and those two guys, they're amazing. They're
Yeah.
great people. And
Well, and equally, that's why they were able to see your
yeah,
potential.
yeah, exactly. And that's the way they pay back. And that's one of the things I talk to Jim. I try to replicate what you did to me to these people. Because you give me ownership, and it makes me feel important and empower me. And that's what I'm doing now. Exactly what he did to me is what I do.
Yeah.
Just I said, I wanna get more knowledge, so be able to develop these guys better than I was.
Yeah.
Because I was always focused on what I'm learning, not focus really how much money I was making. And that's one of the things that people always focus on, how much they're going to make instead of how much they can learn. You
Mhm.
know, what type of knowledge I got to get here. Instead of see, well, I don't make enough money here, there. Just trying to create a environment is what I'm trying to do too. They create environment that people is here, but they here for a knowledge, a lot of knowledge too, not just here's what you get paid and don't leave, pay you more. One of the people stay here because they really want to, because they're learning, they feel happy, the nice environment, they come to work, and I think it's what we've been creating over these years because they're. Well, I don't know if I talked to you about it now. I got another program. They bring in students, because all of a sudden there's a shortage that people here we can find even milkers and nothing. When
Yeah.
before the stuff, a lot of people over the farms looking for a job now. The last few years we have that. So I developed this program and I start bringing these people, which is really nice. It works out really good. They only come for 1 year with a visa permit, but I mean it's been working great because they got a lot of education in agriculture and dairy science. So it's been really easy to develop these guys, and into management positions and, you know, help us grow more the dairy,
Yeah.
fresh ideas and everything.
And so, what you're sharing with us, Omar, is a program that you have that helps to bring workers for dairies up to the area and matching them up with dairies that need some assistance of good qualified labor, but also you're again identifying high potential employees coming up from Mexico that are educated and have leadership skills that you continue to hone and develop. And so, really, you're able to have this whole other business because once again, you've invested this time in your team at Drake Dairy. So you're able to have this business of helping other dairies and helping other high potential employees get their start in a dairy career here in the US. But it all goes back to what you've invested time and energy and knowledge in identifying and empowering the people on your team, just like Jim Drake did for you.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm doing here, trusting people, empowering people, have great communication and listen to these guys.
And that goes back to why things are going well. Good milk quality, good repro, good animal health, and at the end of the day, a team you can depend on and a phone that doesn't ring.
No, and that's why, it's very important you give the ownership and you don't have to micromanage those guys. You sit and have your meetings and okay, let's see the results. That's why you discuss together with them and what can improve those results. Because leadership is always learning and improving things and improve yourself. So that's one of the things we got. Like today, we got one meeting with all the managers. We got to see what can improve, what things they can a little slip out, and how we can improve that. They prevent for happening, and just given more power and more knowledge. I want them to bring in knowledge and trying to analyze those things, what happened. And
Yeah.
even myself, sometimes I back to my bad habits and I go back and reread those books.
You pick John Maxwell right back up again.
Yeah, I read it. several times, but I still back. And, because it's easy back to your bad habits, especially like in a dairy farm, because there's a lot of things going on in once, a lot of moving parts, and it's easy that something go wrong, or you get an anxiety and start telling your manager something. And, it's why it's important to keep these meetings, and I do evaluation, and they do evaluation myself too.
Yeah.
How they feeling towards me, if I've been a little better, because I sometimes I'm busy with other stuff, and they bring it up too, and I want to feedback too, so I can, like I said, I keep improving myself.
Yeah, and that's a strong commitment that you have, Omar, and it speaks volumes with the way that it has turned into results and culture, and the way that you lead Drake Dairy as a manager and as an owner. And at this point in the Up Level Dairy podcast, this is a great point to step into our Up Level 5. And this is where I ask you 5 questions about your next level of performance. And you just talked about the way that you help your team step up to their next level. But I have 5 questions for you. And so first question is this: what does success look like to you?
Success for me is making other people successful, develop people. That's success for me. Then get to know I make someone successful, or someone is leading now a team with success. That's success for me. When I help a farmer, they succeed in their farm, like I talked before, bringing this type of guys, and all of a sudden they call me and say, "Hey, Omar, thanks a lot. They really helped me with the farm." And that's success for me. That's my goal basically in life, make people successful. Success for me. When I develop more people to be good people, and work in their houses, or personal life, or workplace, that's what I feel that I'm really successful.
Oh, that's great. And question number 2, in 3 words, Omar, how do you want to show up each day?
Happy, with with a good vision for that day. Basically just happy, because when you got positive energy, your vibrations, it just go on and on with all the other people. It's why it's really important for me to be positive in any aspect.
Yeah, so not just happy, but positive, and able to communicate that, and to spread that with your team. And question number 3: who are the thought leaders that you follow? I know you already mentioned your favorite, John Maxwell. Any others that you like to lean into for leadership?
Really, that's the only one that I really like it a lot. Forgot the name. The other there I read. Basically, it's the one I recommend to everyone, and I think he's the most powerful message for leadership that he's got, I think, in the world.
Yeah.
So his is the one I follow most every time.
And you've kind of become a bit of a John Maxwell in your own right, Omar, with the way that you lead your people, your team, and have that ripple effect on the dairy and into the community too. And so question number 4, what words do you live by?
Trust people and listen, and a lot of communication and listening,
Yeah. Trust, listen.
And communicate with the people. Because there's a lot of way to communicate, but you always gotta be thinking the best way communicate with the people there. Like I say, every person is different, and they can take different ways. So this is why I say it's really important to listen to people, to understand how they are, or what the things they like it. So you have better approach to that person, the way you gotta talk to them, be able to absorb what you want the listen, or them to learn.
And Omar, one of my takeaways from what you shared with us in this podcast is you talk about the importance of communication skills, but you always preface the word communication with listen. And sometimes I think with communication, we may feel that that's the way that we express our thoughts, our views, and our influence. But you always lead the conversation with the word listening before you reference communicating from ourselves. And I think that's a big, powerful takeaway that I'm getting from you. And I think some of our other listeners will too, is the power of listening.
That's exactly right. Because without you listen, I mean, there's some people, they feel like influencers, but in reality, they don't listen what the people is looking. I mean, like I said, everybody's different, and some people understand differently as well. It's really important you listen to them. It's what's be able to you get across that message you want to give it, or they misunderstand what you're trying to communicate.
Mm.
You know, and by listening, you will see how they work and how they apply that knowledge. You means you give the right message to them by just listen to that person exactly he understand what you're trying to explain to them.
Yeah. And our last up level question for you today, Omar, what is your next personal up level? I know you are someone who is always striving, always learning, always looking for that next thing. What's the area of life that you are looking to take to the next level right now?
My next level is this, you know, maybe like I'd really like to give this message to more people, transmit it. So if I want to do that, I gotta develop better people here. So live, be free out of here, so I can transmit it more this energy and make more people successful, like in the dairy farms. Because I love the dairy business, and I feel like it's just a lot of the help in there. Understand the dairy farmers, how to help develop these guys, and go to help tremendously in their business.
Yeah.
And that's one of the next levels I wanted to be, you know go to this dairy farm and make them successful, and say them, Omar, they really works well. I've been doing it already in a few farms, and they is working good. But like I said, it's a lot of work to do there. But I think it's the next level I want it to be, being in different places and make them successful for replicate what we're doing here.
Yeah. And that goes right back to what you said earlier about what success means to you. And that is seeing other people be successful, and not just at the dairy that you are an owner in, but way beyond that. It's that ripple effect of leadership, of that positivity, that energy, and transmitting it across cultures too. And for that, Omar, we are so grateful for the time that you've taken out of your busy schedule to share with us the way that you identify and empower people to be leaders at Drake Dairy. But I think there's some excitement for the ways that you could have some big ripple effects in our industry, in our dairy community, by taking what you're doing and the desire you have to keep sharing it. So this isn't the last time we're going to hear from you, Omar, in the dairy world about the way that you identify and empower people, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's more to come from Omar. And Omar, if any of our listeners out there are interested in knowing more about your worker program or some of your leadership development, can we include your info in our show notes so that they may reach out to you?
Sure, that'll be great. That'll be great. I'll appreciate it. Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Up Level Dairy podcast. Omar, you are a living example of the up level of your story of going from being a milker at Drake Dairy to now an owner, a partner in this business, and you're not done yet with the impacts that you'll have on our dairy community, and most importantly, on the people in it. And so with that, we thank you so much for joining us. And this episode is sponsored by Up Level Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. And feed is the greatest expense on any dairy operation. And wouldn't you want to know how an adjustment to the ration affects your bottom line? Adiseo empowers producers and nutritionists to make informed ration balancing decisions with milkpay.com. Customizable to your dairy's own data, this profitability calculator puts the power of real-time milk market information in the palm of your hand. Find out how much your latest ration change is really costing you with the free MilkPay app available on iOS and through milkpay.com.